Social spaces typically reward high-volume participants, the people gesturing, talking, and competing for attention. Amidst that noise, a single person often sits in complete immobility, observing the room from the edges. Observers frequently categorize this behavior as shyness, social anxiety, or a lack of engagement. Psychological research identifies this specific stillness as a layer of defensive architecture. It functions as a deliberate containment of energy. These patterns of hypervigilance often trace back to a process called premature maturation. In environments where a child's safety depends on predicting the unpredictable moods of adults, the brain skips the carefree stages of development. To focus on survival, the quiet scene in a crowded room is the adult application of that childhood survival skill. The individual is performing a continuous, high-stakes threat assessment, mapping the exits, analyzing the temperaments of every person present. This history of monitoring surroundings changes the perception of a social event. It becomes a field of raw data rather than a place for relaxation. This creates information asymmetry. When people speak, they broadcast insecurities, plans, and emotional triggers, providing specific variables to understand behavior. The silent observer functions as a vault, collecting these variables without returning signals. Without a feedback loop, the strategist is impossible to predict. This silence facilitates the economy of action, which prioritizes a calculated response over an impulsive reaction. Years spent navigating instability create a high capacity for emotional regulation. The brain develops a physical gap between receiving a provocation and choosing how to handle it. This self-control makes the individual resistant to standard social baiting. Insults or aggressive posturing fail to produce the expected emotional outburst, leaving the aggressor no leverage. The combination of total data collection and disciplined unresponsiveness turns the silent observer into a highly unpredictable factor in any social power dynamic. Human behavior also follows the scarcity principle, where the value of a resource increases as its availability decreases. Words follow a specific valuation curve. High verbal volume dilutes impact. Constant speaking loses its weight. The strategist treats speech as finite currency. Because their words are rare, they command attention. Each sentence carries weight filtered through rigorous observation. This verbal conservation relies on radical autarky, a state of social self-sufficiency. Most people engage in noise to secure external validation and confirm their status within the group. The quietest person in the room lacks this dependence on the crowd's approval. Evolutionary psychology suggests that in moments of collective panic, the group gravitates toward the individual, who remains the most contained. This self-reliance serves as a baseline for effective leadership. During a crisis, strategic patience separates the observer from the crowd, while others react to immediate social friction. The strategist is looking several moves ahead. Prolonged silence acts as a natural filter for the environment. It pushes away those driven by impulse, while attracting the attention of observant, disciplined peers. A presence that requires no warning or broadcast often indicates a person who has already mapped the room. Looking back at the developmental timeline, we see how the chaos of an early environment builds the stoicism of the present. Traits like hypervigilance and the suppression of one's own needs initially feel like heavy psychological baggage. These survival mechanisms reach their full utility when they are consciously integrated. What began as a defense against a difficult childhood becomes a refined strategic advantage in adult life. Framing these traits as a strategic framework changes the dynamic of the room. Silence becomes the tool for analyzing the board, rather than a way to hide from it. Power lies in knowing exactly what you are doing, while others are left to speculate on your intentions. If these patterns align with your own approach to a room, leave a chess emoji in the comments and subscribe for more insights into the human mind.